evening, folks, and welcome to Fresh Out the Theater with Maggie and Miguel. And tonight joining us is our good compadre, Cameron. Say hi, Cameron.
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight.
Damn right.
Here.
Yeah. So we want to start off by saying, I want to start off by saying I had fun at this movie. I had more fun at this movie than I think I've had at most DC movies. I mean, I'll start off by saying that. Would anyone agree?
I would second that. Yeah, this movie is probably like the most fun I've had watching a DC film. I mean, there's laughs. I feel like it had better pacing, and just overall, it was a better movie than the previous ones.
Which, I mean, is not saying too much. I mean, don't we have a different bar set for DC than I think we do Marvel? I mean, if we're being honest.
I kind of go into a DC movie with no expectations.
Yes, I agree.
Because whenever I first heard they were doing a movie with Shazam, I was like, man, I don't care. But yeah, so I went in with zero expectations and didn't really care. I was just seeing it for the podcast just so we can do a review, and it wasn't bad. It was a pretty good time.
I had fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that says a lot about DC movies too. When you go into it with low expectations, because usually, like with animated movies and stuff, like they're like the go-to to watch.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about DC. That's one thing that DC has over Marvel is when it comes to the animated movies, they're amazing. We have really high standards when it comes to DC animated movies. When it comes to DC live action, not so much.
Kind of lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in comparison to what? Let's just say it. I mean, Marvel.
Well, Marvel. I mean, I still think that Wonder Woman is the best DC movie that's come out like in this universe, but
it's hard to argue differently. It's really hard to argue differently than that. I mean, so we have Aquaman. Aquaman, is it now the highest grossing, or did it surpass Wonder Woman?
Aquaman is now the highest grossing.
So it did surpass Wonder Woman.
Yes. It did.
Holy shit!
And it was the worst one.
No, it was not the worst one.
What's the worst one, Baggy? If Aquaman wasn't the worst DC movie, what's the worst DC movie then?
Okay, never mind. That was Batman vs Superman. If
That-
you're talking about
yeah.
the worst,
No, okay, we're not here to argue about what's the shittiest DC movie. We're here to talk about DC movie we saw tonight that wasn't bad. I thought it wasn't bad.
That wasn't bad.
What did you like about it?
Shazam was not bad.
Now, for those who don't know, I mean, Shazam is not one of the more well-known superheroes. He's certainly not as known as like freaking, Batman, Superman, and all the main guys. But
Well, is there any other superhero that's more well known as Batman? There's certainly not enough, not as many movies as Batman.
Right? They say Spider-Man though is they did a survey I think a few years back. He's the most recognized all over the world, even more than Batman and Superman, if you can believe it. Shazam is if you're a comic book fan, you know who the hell he is.
We'll maybe know him a little bit better under Captain Marvel.
You're right. Oh, that's a rabbit hole of a conversation about how many different variations of Shazam there were.
I like the little plug that they had in there for the Captain Marvel thing.
What was that? What are you talking about?
Whenever they were uploading videos to YouTube and stuff, they I forgot what they put, but they made like a little tongue-in-cheek joke about Captain Marvel.
What, once being Shazam or once being the same character or some shit?
Yeah. It was it was pretty funny.
Yeah, this one has nothing to do with Brie Larson's, of course. Captain Marvel. It's a completely different universe. This one's actually set in the current DC universe, which is really cool. I'm glad they did that sort of thing.
And they did a lot of nods to previous events and previous superheroes. Which
They really
is
did.
Actually really cool to see.
Yeah. There was some good fan service in there, and then alluding to all the other movies. We're not going to give away if anyone shows up from the DC universe that we know already. Okay. When it comes to the plot of this movie, we basically have it's a 14-year-old kid who comes across this sort of mystic, this wizard, if you will, and he's given the power because of his. Why is he given the power? Because he has the best heart.
He's pure of heart.
He's quote unquote pure of heart, which is why he selected to have these powers. That part we're going to probably argue about if this kid deserves it or not. That's one of the things I might have found disagreeable about this movie, but it's a superficial, thing about it. And when it comes to the cast, I liked it when it comes to how they casted it. Maggie, I think you disagreed with me a little bit about the main freaking actor in the movie.
I don't think that Zachery Levi was the best choice for this character.
Why?
it's hard to describe. I just felt like he was just missing something, and it's just a feeling. Like, I can't knock it. Not to say that I didn't enjoy him in the movie. There was just something else I was looking for, and I just didn't get it with Zachery Levi. I don't know. I really don't know how to describe it. It's just
I can't agree with that because I mean, if we were to cast Zachery Levi in another superhero role, I probably would feel that way. But for Shazam, the necessity for sort of comic delivery, I mean, his comedic timing was fucking great. You would admit that, right?
well, yeah. I mean, he's a primary comedy actor. So
He's known for Chuck, I think. Isn't that the same guy?
yeah, it's the guy from Chuck.
He's come a long way.
But there was nothing wrong with his comedic timing. It was just whenever he was Shazam in the action parts, like it just.
You didn't feel it?
I didn't feel it.
Actually, I can agree with that.
Thank you.
He did have really good comedic timing, and it actually couldn't work. But when they're doing kind of like the fight scenes and everything, it was cool because they're discovering the powers in this one. But so maybe we'll see something different in the other one. But I always want to see someone that's a little bit more confident, I guess.
Yeah, because I just feel like whenever he got like his serious like superhero face on, he just looked like he was smelling something bad.
Well, I mean, the character Shazam's supposed to be a 14-year-old boy, so he's supposed to look awkward. He's supposed to look like, he doesn't belong. He's finding his own way. So I think that's why I liked him for this role.
Because if you look at kind of the comics, yeah, he's 14 years old, but usually it's carried out not by his demeanor because he hides it, but it's more about what he says and what his actions are, not really his facial recognition.
But doesn't that make it authentic though? We because of the casting of Zachery Levi and the way he's playing this role, we believe that there's a 14-year-old in there. You guys didn't feel that way?
Well, yeah, but it goes deeper than that though. Whenever he had the opportunity to be serious and fight the bad guy, I just didn't believe it.
I think that the reason I have a hard time making that criticism is because this isn't a normal grown-up superhero going up against a bad guy. I mean, this is still supposed to be a fucking kid in an adult's body. And, one of the early criticisms about this movie, speaking of that whole thing about a kid being inside a grown man's body, everyone's talking about, this is Big meets Justice League. There was a little wink and nod to Big, for those who are familiar with that movie. It involves a piano. I thought that was cool, as well. So there's different types of fan service throughout this movie that people of different ages will really appreciate. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean that's I guess that's our first disagreement. I don't really agree with you two that he was miscasted.
Yeah, I don't think he was miscasted. I still think he did a great job in portraying the character Shazam. I really love like his levity that he brought to like you actually felt that it was a kid throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it was a different tone set compared to the other previous DC movies. And
very different, yeah.
This is the first one that I actually think actually got the tones for the character. Because all the other ones, to me, have very similar tones. Like, they're not... Like, Wonder Woman wasn't directly Wonder Woman. I mean, Superman wasn't Superman. But
I hear that criticism a lot, is that they're all dark, like what Deadpool said in the movie. Oh, you're so dark. Are you a DC villain? Or he said some shit like that.
Yeah.
Because all of them are sort of brooding, and it shouldn't be that way. Batman's supposed to be about revenge. Superman's supposed to be about hope, and it didn't feel that way. Yeah, they were all really dark.
Because even Wonder Woman, I love Wonder Woman, but even then, I feel like it didn't give like Wonder Woman has like this lifelike wonder about life. She enjoys the little things, and I feel like they were missing that about the movie because it was just so much focusing on just other things just going on.
You don't think that touched? I mean, they did allude to her innocence a little bit in Wonder Woman, though, didn't they?
Yeah, they alluded it with ice cream, but
yeah, she's almost an alien.
Yeah, but I also feel like they didn't really also touch like her warrior, her presence as a warrior and stuff. As much as they do in the
books.
Yeah,
Diana is certainly rougher and maybe even meaner in the comic books. Mm-hmm. And one of her best quotes in the comic books is something along the lines of, when I fight my enemies, they don't come back, or they're unable to punch back and shit like that. She's much more deadly in the books than she was in here. I think they nailed Shazam though.
Shazam was pretty good with how well they just nailed
Him.
Yeah, they nailed him down like pretty well, especially like him like saying his name to like leave a fight or something like that, or using it in
The shit he would pull in the books, he does
Yeah,
in the movie a
'cause
lot. Yeah,
I thought that was actually really well, and then they use that ploy to some comedic timing, which I believe you'll enjoy in the film. Did you guys enjoy it? Like,
yeah, that whole being able to zap in and out was it was played with really well. I
Yeah.
will say that. Yeah,
I don't know. I can't describe why I don't like Zachary Levi in the role completely. It was just something that I felt was missing.
I'm curious. Would you
So-
like Zachary Levi in another superhero role where he was allowed to be more serious?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, I'm not picturing him for any other superhero movie. I just don't think that he was the best choice for the role.
Who would you? Do you know who you might have casted?
No.
That's
I
the
mean, I'm
thing.
just answering honestly. Like,
Yeah.
now I don't like. There were some moments he was great, and but I like there was a really strong. There's a really strong contrast between whenever he was around his brother Freddie, or
Was supposed to
his
be.
friend Freddie, and and then doing things that the 14-year-old kids would do, like trying to figure out their powers. He did that very well, but just in like the serious moments of the movie, I did not believe. So
Yeah.
it didn't feel right. It's the part where the superhero had to come out, I just didn't buy it.
Yeah. The only reason I have a hard time making that particular criticism is because it's not like other movies, like with Spider-Man. Whenever he has to, finally kick ass, we're dealing with somebody in their, late teens, early 20s. This is a 14-year-old inside there still.
Yeah, but you can also, that's also a time whenever Bruce Wayne started, becoming
Doing his
Batman
thing, yeah.
and being serious,
There were times, I will admit, that's one of the criticisms I will make. There were a couple times where I felt like the way Zachary Levi was playing him, he felt a little younger than 14. Like he might have been overdoing it just a little bit playing the kid part. Throughout most of the movie, I didn't feel that way. There were a couple times where I'm like, he seems more like he's 9 or 8 than 14.
that was something I can actually also attest to. Zachary Levi, I would agree with that. Like he would appear younger than he is, because if you look at his siblings and stuff and part of his family,
Yeah.
I feel like they're a lot more intelligent, emotionally mature.
Yeah.
Just offer these other things, and it felt like, and then when Billy, the actor who's playing Billy, he felt more mature than Zachary Levi.
There were times I felt that way too.
Yeah.
That played because there was 2 Billys in this movie. There's a 14-year-old Billy that we first meet, and then there's Zachary Levi's Billy, who's the grown man. And yeah, I felt that way too. I felt that there were times where the 14-year-old Billy was more mature than Zachary Levi's Billy, in
Right.
Shazam. So I think he was overplaying it sometimes. What do you guys think of the family? Because whenever we meet these characters, we have this 14-year-old runaway who's moved from foster home to foster home. We're not going to give too much away on that, but the foster home that he's given here for this movie that becomes the family for him throughout the movie. When I first see them, at first I felt like they were a little over-contrived. Like they were too nice, they were too innocent, they were too loving. And then afterward, I felt like, you know what? So what? It's good to actually see really, really good, genuinely good fucking people in movies like this. And by the end, they sort of won me over. At first, I thought it was, this is bullshit.
I love their family.
Yeah.
Actually, I will have to
Yeah.
say, like, their family, I think the reason why it was kind of like they're levy, like you seem like, as you said before, like they seem like this perfect family, but it later delves in that all these kids come from like a hard background.
Yeah.
And they kind of touch it on it and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and explore it. And this is their outlet. Is the 2 parents and stuff that are adopting all these kids. This is their outlet, for positivity.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
a one bright side of their life. That's why they're instantly attached, because they keep moving around. So I think it actually kind of touched on, like, the foster care system that people experience in real life.
It really does, because I've been close to a couple of people that were in foster care, and they've told me, no, I consider my real family my foster family. I don't care about my biological family. This movie really touches on that, I think, really well.
Well, in the foster family, really, they were foster kids themselves, and so they wanted to bring them up in a positive environment. So, I mean, I thought they were adorable. I loved like watching their little family scenes and how they dealt with stuff.
Well, this movie, it's this is one of those movies that it really wears its emotions and its sentimentality on its sleeve proudly. By the end of the movie, I didn't have a problem with that. I loved how close his family were. I loved how much they cared about each other. You know, it really won me over. You know, I genuinely gave a shit. By the third act, I was like, I really give a shit about this family. I hope nothing happens to him. I really like the mom and dad. I love his foster siblings.
Yeah.
You know, it did a good job.
His foster siblings have a great supporting cast.
God, weren't they all?
They were so good.
And that's one thing about a movie like this is even if it's, again, guys, this is a very different DC movie than the other ones. This one does not take itself too seriously. It's much more of a comedy than we've seen before. It's not dark. It's really funny. You know, one thing that I had heard about, Cameron, you mentioned this, is that the other DC movies took themselves seriously and we ended up laughing at their cheese. This movie is self-aware about its cheesiness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it ends up working for it. And it ends up working better for that. But yeah, it's something that I feel like by the third act, like I said, it all won me over. The sense of humor, the tone, the family, the characters. Are there cheesy moments? Yes.
Throughout there's all the cheese.
There's a lot of cheese throughout this movie, but it's okay because it's self-aware.
I mean, even like the plot that some of the kids have to face and stuff. It's very cheesy 80s, 90s.
It's felt
like they go to the high school. I'm like,
the bullies were very cliche.
Oh, the bullies were so stupid. But
there were a couple scenes from the bullies that were just a little over contrived. Like, we don't want to give away too much, but there was a scene whenever we first meet the bullies that felt like bullshit. I was like, would they really do this after hitting someone and almost killing them? Would they really say this or act this way?
And then what school lets you park right there too?
I know. Every time they parked their stupid fucking truck, I was like, really?
How is it not getting towed? Yeah. Like, where the fuck is this? Is Philly of all places?
It is literally the only car in the front of the school, and they park it like a bunch of jackasses.
But they need that scene with them being douchebags pulling up to the school when no other cars around. So again, little scenes like that are really contrived, and they do remind me of like late 80s, early 90s movies where the bullies are such caricatures where it's hard to take them seriously. But when it comes to the characters, I think everyone fell in love with the family. I know, Cameron, your favorite was like the littlest sister.
Yeah, she's very adorable.
Darla.
Yeah, Darla is. She's pretty much like a small little scene stealer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's
very cute.
She's basically the comic relief within a comedy. You know, she's really adorable. She is a scene stealer. The villain. What do you guys think of the villain in this movie? I didn't think he was. I expected him to be a very cookie cutter villain because the whole thing was going to revolve around Shazam. He actually had more dimension to him than I thought he was going to.
I thought he was flat.
You thought the villain was flat, really?
The villain was flat.
Yeah, I'm kind of in between. I kind of like that he had. I like that he had the 7 deadly sins with him.
Yeah, his demons.
Like those were. That's really something that we haven't seen before with a DC movie is having multiple villains like that. And I mean, it's the 7 deadly sins. Yeah. And so you have to fight 7 deadly sins on top of the villain that houses them.
It's funny because like we see that in the DC animated universe. They talk about these demons that this particular villain has with him that have his back.
Yeah.
And we get to actually see this in the live action movie. It was really fun. Mark Strong, the actor, it was funny, Cameron, that you mentioned that he was flat. The actor's fucking incredible. This is the guy from, if you don't know, Zero Dark 30. He came on the very short-lived but amazing AMC show called Low Winter Sun. Mm-hmm. Mark Strong is amazing.
For me, I don't even know. It's not per se the actor. Mm-hmm. It was the more of the content he was given. I feel like if you're like the writing was weak for him, because I mean they gave the backstory in the beginning of the movie, and then he's just kind of this one-dimensional character, this is his sole reason from this verse, and it's a very little shallow reason to me. It doesn't really flush it out because I'm like, he's just being why is he doing this? There's no ulterior motive.
The villain did seem like he just wanted revenge, and like the world wronged him, particularly his own family. Mm-hmm. So fuck this world, I'm gonna fuck everything up. It's like they gave this villain dimension when it came to his background, but when it came to his motive, it's like, fuck it. You know, he's a bad guy on screen. Let's just have him fuck up Shazam and fuck up the world. You know, again, it sucks because his background was very interesting. Mm-hmm. I thought,
and they never actually, like, I'm trying not to spoil, but they actually never went through. They kind of say when the wizard who gives Shazam his power said he's looking for a pure heart, and the villain and stuff was rejected. Mm-hmm. But they never went back to saying they're lying. They kept saying the 7 deadly sins are lying to you, but they never said what are their real reasons for it. Like, what would they do with it?
Yeah, that's true. They didn't. Yeah, that's a very good point. They actually did not say what the 7 deadly sins the demons were after themselves, because they kept on saying no. They're lying to you. They're using you. Mm-hmm. Mark Strong's character was being told throughout the whole damn movie, look, these things that you have on your back, they don't have your back. They're basically like a monkey on your back. They're just using you. But they didn't really explain what those things wanted. They didn't really explain what he got out of everything. Mm-hmm. So that is a good, I think, rational criticism. But
speaking of the 7 deadly sins, though, I thought the CGI effects of this 7 mm-hmm. deadly sins were very well done.
They've certainly improved. From some of the earlier DC movies. I thought that one of the easiest things to criticize when it comes to superhero films is the CGI. I know a lot of people shit on a lot of the CGI in Aquaman, and a lot of people loved it. It's hard to shit on the CGI used in this movie. It's really well done.
Yeah.
I can even, honestly, when a lot of people shit on CGI, like, I can't even tell when it's bad, really. Like,
at this mm-hmm. point, it's like, is it relevant? You know, because there's so much of it everywhere.
And especially with a superhero movie, I'm kind of wondering, does it really matter? Because we used to love superhero movies with just wires.
Yeah.
So It's basically, it's not really about the powers. It's just enjoying the character.
Yeah.
And the fantasy of it.
I grew up with Christopher Reeves in front of a fucking blue screen, you know, as Superman. So it's hard to bitch about that nowadays. But that is more than a rational criticism. When it comes to the other criticisms of the movie, what I think is arguably a plot hole is, again, the kid's supposed to be pure of heart, which is why he gets the powers to begin with, our main character. I don't think he's pure of heart. I think he's kind of a little asshole.
He was kind of a dick.
It's kind of hard. Because, yes, he thought about, like, I think they addressed it in the film. Because he's, like, you know, he has this sole mission from the beginning of the film that he's trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And it kind of ties into what the family that he's becomes adopted into. And I think that kind of covers it because, you know, he's just searching for somebody. But later in the film, when he realizes, the person he was searching for isn't what he should have been searching for. Exactly. Thank you. I'm trying to use the word, so I'm explaining everything.
No, that's okay. No, that's completely true. So there is a reason for what.
And he's been hurt too, because that's what I said. Like, back to my foster care system, like, you know, foster kids are constantly hurt, constantly. And then when you like grow up, especially as a young child, your memories may not be what it is.
Yeah, that was something they actually did really well, because mm-hmm. we see the main character's memories when he was around 4 as one way, and then whenever he's forced to realize what happened to him, we see what what actually did happen then. They did that really well. Mm-hmm. That's actually one of the more positive aspects of the movie.
So it gave, and that's why it gave the character growth, because necessary, just because you're like, you may be dead, but he still went out of his way a lot of time to help people.
He did.
He did. There were times where I was kind of annoyed with him, where, okay, we get the fact that you're trying to let us know this is a 14-year-old with superpowers, so he's going to be irresponsible with it. There were times where I was like, okay, you've made that point. I'm kind of fucking annoyed at this point. When the fuck is he going to grow up? You know, when is he going to be humbled? I think that could have happened a little earlier on. But I mean, that's argumentative. Well, it's something superficial.
I think there was a part, there was a bus scene where he was like trying to save a bus of people. And I thought that scene was kind of trash. But
wow, why'd you think that scene was trash?
I mean, it's not really a spoiler or anything, but he's kind of showing off his powers. He's shooting lightning out of his hands, and he ends up blowing a tire on this bus full of people.
Yeah.
And then the bus, like, almost goes off a bridge, and he's underneath it trying to put a nasty ass mattress to catch everybody, and people on the bus are like, nah.
What the fuck?
Like, nah. And he's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And then the bus ends up falling on him, but he catches it. But it's like he already knew he had, like, super strength, and we've already seen him kind of project up really high. So, I mean, he easily could have, like, jumped up, move it back onto the bridge, and let everybody safely off. And it's, to me, it was just frustrating. I'm just like, you haven't done shit with your powers but show off. So this would have been a great time to prove yourself, and it just happened by accident that you caught it and you put it down.
He was fixing his own fuck up is basically what he did.
Yeah. Actually, I think this was just kind of like just a transition scene for the villain, for him and the villain to interact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe amongst other things, I'm not gonna not gonna go into.
So the scene was. Did you think it was a shit scene, babe, because you thought it was over contrived, or you think it was just because it was a shit scene because the character was an asshole?
Well, I mean, that was his chance to be heroic, and he wasn't heroic.
Actually, I have to say, I don't think there was a scene in this movie where he was really heroic on saving other people.
He really wasn't until the very. Well, we'll say when he was forced to, when his family was at stake. I think that's when he was at his precipice, basically. When his family was at stake, something very personal to him. Then he had to be a superhero. But maybe that was the point. Maybe this as his origin story. He is an asshole.
You know what? But, I don't want to get too hard into this one, though, because, I just thought about it. Like, if you look at Spider-Man, Spider-Man had his powers before his uncle was shot, and he could have stopped the person.
God, yeah, that wrestling scene that's now infamous in the comic books, yeah.
This one, it's true. He didn't really have danger until his family was in danger.
Well, till he lost something,
yeah. So, we have to remember he's also a kid.
He's younger than Peter when Peter was being an asshole. So that's true too. I'm excited though as to what the next movie is going to be because I'm very, very confident. I think you guys are too. This is just the first movie. We're going to see another Shazam movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we definitely will. I guess I was just expecting a little bit more of a heroic arc. Mm-hmm. And like we got it a little bit, but I kind of just wasn't completely satisfied with it.
Yeah, I think that we should have had a more dramatic and a deeper arc for him becoming a hero.
I agree with that. Shazam didn't really do well at, having him realize his potential. I don't think throughout the film he really realized his potential. And that was the thing they kept alluding to during the film.
Yeah, it was just like, before he knows his true power, we got to get to him first. And I'm just like, there was like no big revelation of, oh, holy shit, I could do this?
Yeah, when he, there's a couple scenes where he well, most of the time throughout the movie, whenever he discovers his power, it's just early and it's really comedic. It's not like the scenes we've seen in other horror movies. Superhero movies, like with Spider-Man. That moment that's iconic now, where Peter's walking on the wall, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, which I wasn't crazy about, but that scene where we see Peter learning that he can walk on walls, that still to this day resonates with me. We didn't get that in this movie, but I think it's because again, this was a comedy.
I also might think, too, the reason we didn't get it is because we go in there with such low expectations that we don't expect anything.
So what, the filmmakers weren't either? Shit, they're like, fuck it, this is a comedy.
I mean, it might. I mean, they didn't take themselves seriously, which I loved.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this movie was still a fun movie to watch, and it's definitely different than other DC movies that have been out. But there's plot holes.
Yeah,
big enough that I can drive through, but I don't know. I didn't hate the movie. I didn't hate the movie at all, but I just thought that.
Would you have been happier if it was more dramatic? especially in the third act?
No, I don't think so. Like, not as far as like dramatic. I just wish that they would have explained things a little bit better. Because I mean, there was just like a couple of lines in there that seemed like they were significant, but they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the more frustrating part that I was looking for.
I don't know about if I would use the word dramatic, but I did get, as much as I like the family a lot, as much as I love the family, I didn't have, I wasn't emotionally as affected as I was with other movies, like with the first Wreck-It Ralph or with the second Wreck-It Ralph. People are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why are you comparing that movie? Because this is a family movie. And you can take it as a criticism, you can take it as a compliment. I felt like I was watching a family movie. I didn't feel that way with other DC movies, okay? With other family movies, they offer us a kind of emotional depth, or I was emotionally affected by, like, Up. You know, I was emotionally affected by the first Wreck-It Ralph, even as goofy as a movie as that was. Mm-hmm. We could have had that in this movie. But throughout the movie, especially in the third act, it's still cheesy jokes.
I think they almost had it. They almost had it when in the middle of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
When he, his whole mission. When he realized his whole mission, they had it. But then they kind of transitioned away with it quickly.
They
never went back to it.
They did. They had more than a few opportunities to sort of emotionally affect us like other family movies do. And I think they chickened out almost. Do you think? Because they wanted to keep the tone. I think that they were so afraid to make it a dark movie like the rest of the DC universe.
Well, and I kind of feel cheated that we didn't get a couple of scenes, which I can't mention.
What the fuck?
Because it would be a spoiler. But I'll tell you guys later off the podcast.
What the fuck ever. I think I know what you're saying when it comes to. Are you talking about certain people maybe or maybe not showing up?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, the scenes that it's just some of the stuff that they how the story ended
mm-hmm.
and what else I wish would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And really didn't get. So yeah, that's
there's loopholes too that I just remembered one that was never tied up. Like I never knew what her decision was.
A certain character of
her. His
sister. That's right, because that was actually an integral part of
mm-hmm.
the story of the family, and they didn't actually. You can argue they maybe alluded to it to the very, very end, but yeah, there is an integral part of the story that has to do with the family and some young girl's decision, and we don't get to know what the fuck that was. See, that makes it seem like it was just a gimmick or something random. But like Maggie said, there's so many things that were listed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they had these just little instances that I felt was gonna build up, and it just never happened. It never went anywhere. So it's like, why even mention it? Just take out that one line from like a handful of scenes, and I feel like it would have been it would have maybe made it a better movie for me. But because I was holding on to what they said and looking forward to seeing how it was going to resolve by the end of the movie, and I didn't get it, and I was like, well, what the fuck? Why even mention it?
Right. I mean, again, that's part of the contrived storytelling. It's one of those things where we're going to use this as sort of a ploy. It doesn't need to go anywhere because it's going to move the story along, But again, it's all part of the sort of campy, cheesy writing of the movie. We can't take it seriously. This is the embodiment of a DC movie that we're. Let's just be honest. I don't know if there's any DC movies you're supposed to take really, really seriously.
I just have to say, what would you guys out of all the DC movies, live actions, where would you guys rank this one?
Ooh,
like, are we talking current universe or
current universe? Oh, sorry. Yeah,
it's hard to say at this point. I mean, it's not as good as Wonder Woman. That's for damn sure. Certainly, I think it was a better movie, smarter movie than Aquaman because it didn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, Aquaman was awful. Aquaman was just.
See,
awful.
I don't feel like Aquaman was that bad.
Aquaman's right there next to Batman vs Superman.
Nah.
There's a lot of problems that we have with the DC universe. Okay, where would you rank this, Cameron, next to fucking Suicide Squad?
See, Suicide Squad, it's bad, but it was carried by Will Smith and Margot Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
It was carried by those two. But
Will Smith is not even returning for the second one.
And Idris Elba might be going to that one.
Oh, thank Thank you, Jesus.
Maggie's favorite part of the DC universe, probably.
I mean,
Well,
y'all
what's gonna-
can't tell me y'all don't love some Idris Elba, okay?
He's pretty cool.
Y'all
He's
quit
suave.
clowning.
No, he's
No,
suave.
I like
Yeah.
Idris Elba a lot. Even with your crush on Idris Elba, I really like Idris Elba, and that says something.
But I would have to put this one, Wonder Woman's first for me. Even though I have my gripes about Wonder Woman, and then I would put this one probably second.
Really?
Really?
Out of all
You would put it above Justice League?
I'm sorry, Justice who?
Oh, shit.
Like, Ezra Miller should not have been playing the Flash. I don't know what they're
No,
doing.
this is a completely
Yeah,
different
yeah.
fight.
I could get
No.
into it. Like,
No.
I can't stand Justice
Cameron.
League.
Ugh.
And then that's why part of the Justice League is why I don't like Aquaman, because Aquaman can fight. What's the villain from Justice League? Wolf's
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf. He can fight Steppenwolf, but then he has trouble with Black Manta. Like, come on now.
I think he was arguably he was underestimating Black Manta. But now that that movie's out,
He was also going up against Black Manta, like almost by himself. But Steppenwolf, I mean, basically, they all sucked against going up against Steppenwolf until Superman came in.
Who had to come and save the fucking day? It
Well,
was-
that's typical DC.
Yeah, this is
Superman coming to save
Somebody
the day.
call Superman, even though there's 17 of us fucking superheroes taking on the villain.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much. But he still fought the creatures and stuff, which I feel like
Yeah.
would eliminate Black Manta in seconds.
Really, you think so?
I feel like in Black Manta and Aquaman should not even be there. Like, if
Damn.
they just made the movie about an Atlantean and made the villain Atlantean, I feel like it would have been much better.
Yeah, but
Well-
they wanted to side a villain, which is why they did that shit. But we're going off
Well,
into
they,
a
Yeah,
they
it's a
had
random
to, they
tangent.
had to get him to fight on land.
yeah.
So
They wanted him to fight on
they
land. Who's going
needed
to fight
some
him
kind
on
of
land?
Isn't it? Then he can just stay above land and just be like, "Well, fuck all the Atlanteans. I just gotta stay up here. They won't fuck with me."
But the Atlanteans were attacking though with waves and stuff, so that's a way to him to go down there.
But what would they do in the desert? You can just go in the desert. And there ain't no waves.
Yeah, but
in
how did they
there.
get out of the desert too?
Yeah, that's another giant fucking one.
Uh,
Okay, so now no more Aqua. That's a different podcast. Is fighting about how shitty Aquaman was. When it comes to this movie, guys, honestly, I give it a fair B.
yeah, B.
I would say I would give it a B or 8 out of 10, whichever scale we're going with here.
8 out of 10 is not bad though. I mean, that's a pretty good fucking rating.
yeah,
especially
that's a
for
pretty
DC.
damn good rating. I would give it like a 6.
Well,
7.
The
I'm gonna
reason
give it a
I
7.
give
Very
it a,
low 7.
The reason
give
I'll
it a
give it an
7.
8, it's definitely a good family film.
Mhm.
It has cheesy moments, but I think it's all the moments and stuff that everybody in the family can enjoy. Yes, it has its loopholes, but it also has this like kind of heartwarming like feeling and stuff you
Yeah.
get just from the family and stuff, and that by itself can create. You know, it's a good little family. It's a good little film. Like, yes, it has its issues, but it's not.
Trash.
It's not trash. It's not boring. It's not dark. Like, I'm not bored out on my eyes watching it like normal DC movies.
Damn.
There's a Marvel
Tell us-
fan in here.
Tell
shit.
us how you really feel, Cameron.
And to be fair, I joke. Yeah, there's a Marvel fan in here, but to be fair, it's like the people who sometimes hate the DC live action movies the most are some of the biggest DC fans of the comic books you'll ever meet.
I love DC comic books and like the anime film. Like, I don't even know why, but they're having a Batman meets the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I saw the advertisement.
I don't
for
even
that
care.
recently.
I know it's cheesy and blasphemous, but I'm gonna go buy it. Watch it.
I'll watch the shit. Is it? I saw the advertisement for it. Is that actually a fucking animated movie?
Yes,
or?
it's
Okay.
an animated movie.
I'll watch it. I'm not gonna lie. I'll watch the shit out of that too.
Lord.
If you're,
I'm not feeling that at all.
It seems really fucking random, Batman and the Ninja Turtles, but I'm gonna check it out. I'd like to see what their back and forths are gonna be.
I mean,
Especially with him and Donatello. Holy shit!
You should check out the trailer for it. I mean, one of the part that made me laugh in the trailer is Shredder is telling Batman, he was like, "You're nothing before me," and he throws a punch, and Batman catches it and flips him.
Oh shit!
Like,
Fuck you, Shredder.
Yeah. I was just like, yes, this is perfect.
Okay, so I think I say B. I think both of you guys actually agree.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lower end B.
Okay, so I think I liked it a little bit more than Maggie. But yeah, it was a B. You know, this isn't if this was a Marvel movie, we'd be shitting all over it, probably.
I mean, even with Marvel movies, it's
down there.
Yeah, even with Marvel movies and stuff, like, I have my fair arguments with Marvel that we can get into another time.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. All right.
All right, everybody. This has been our official Fresh Out the Theater review of the movie Shazam. It'll be out April 4th. Go check it out. If you like our channel, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell button so that way you'll be notified on any upcoming content that we have coming out. And thanks for listening.